Hello there everyone, and welcome back again to Void Dwarf Studios, where we look at a brand new faction for Age of Sigmar. This time, the rather murder-happy elf cult, the Daughters of Khaine. And I think it was particularly poignant that I chose this faction next, as their leader, good old Morathi, always trying to get the one up on everyone else, and always finding it harder than she thinks it is, have been making some rather big plays lately. If you look into the new Broken Realm stuff that's been coming out from Games Workshop, Morathi has managed to make herself a god. We're close enough, at any rate. But how did we get to this point? Who are the Daughters of Khaine? This will be the intro video, of course. So, way back in the beginning, before there were elves running around left, right and centre, there was a time in Age of Sigmar where elves were basically non-existent. There was the odd elf that somehow managed to survive the world that was. Not really sure how that works, but we now know that all of the elven souls were inside the belly of Slaanesh, and Slaanesh, in a rather, I guess you could say drunken, overfed stupor, kind of found somewhere in the realm of chaos to lay down and digest the souls. Now, at some point, before or after Slaanesh started doing this, Morathi broke free. We're not really sure whether Slaanesh let her go, or if she somehow had the will to keep her soul in one piece, but it was clear immediately after she left Slaanesh's gullet that something was horribly, horribly wrong. Where once she was, a beautiful elven maiden, in her appearance at least, minus the kinky fetish armour that she often liked to wear, she was now this hideous, winged snake-like creature, and she found this almost too much to bear. It almost broke her mind, as Morathi back in the world that was, which I feel deserves a separate video, was all consumed with her beauty. It was her beauty that allowed her to get into positions that were practically impossible considering her station in life. And now that she was this horrific creature, she could barely bear it. Her mind almost broke. But she was eventually able to control her appearance, able to weave her magics as she used to, and allow herself to retain a form similar to what she once had. Now, during this time, and again, we're going way back in the age of myth here for Age of Sigmar, Teclis and Tyrion encountered Morathi, and first of all, they were amazed that Morathi was alive, considering the last time they saw her, she was being swallowed by Slaanesh. And of course, because there were no elves anywhere else in the world, they wanted to know how on earth she managed to achieve this. And Morathi saw an opportunity to get power for herself. She made a deal with the brothers. She would show them where Slaanesh was, and in return for their help in not only capturing, killing, or at the very least releasing the souls from Slaanesh, Morathi would get a share, a third share of the elven souls inside. And Teclis and Tyrion agreed, as, frankly, they didn't have any other better plans at this point, and even though they knew Morathi was a quadruple timing backstabbing individual, as they've known her for a long time, they really didn't have a lot of choice. So Teclis and Tyrion with Morathi found where Slaanesh was slumbering, digesting all these elven souls, and managed to capture and bind him. And they figured to themselves that they need to find a place they can hide Slaanesh from his followers, because, Slaaneshi followers are really difficult to deal with because they tend to be in large numbers, and, chaos, Chaos can be a bit of a pain in the rear end. So they decided to lock Slaanesh into a prison between the realm of light and the realm of shadow, a twilight realm, a pocket dimension, as it were. And in this dimension, they bound Slaanesh with multiple chains. Now, don't even remotely think these are just big, sturdy steel chains, or titanium chains, or whatever. No. These chains were made not only of magical substances, but each one was unique, different, and, frankly, absurd. There were some magical chains that were more based on thought and theory and metaphysical concepts than they were actual physical chains. But that was what was needed to hold Slaanesh in place, and a constant guard of elves was kept and rotated within inside the prison to make sure that Slaanesh never got out. That was the plan, at least. And during this time, Morathi, Teclis and Tyrion experimented on Slaanesh to see what souls they could gather. I've said in a previous video that I like to imagine that Teclis, Morathi and Tyrion took it in turns to kick Slaanesh violently in the stomach until it threw up the souls, but I imagine something slightly more sophisticated was involved, and in this process, souls started coming out. Now, the first souls, they belonged to the Idoneth Deepkin. These were the souls that had been in Slaanesh's belly the longest. These are the ones that had been corrupted the most. They came out half-formed. Their souls were damaged. Some of them didn't even come with souls. And because of this failure, Teclis initially tried to destroy them, and it was only because of the hand of Tyrion that they managed to escape and become the Idoneth Deepkin we know today. The second batch of souls were for Morathi, and these became the Witch Elves, or Daughters of Khaine. Now, Morathi specifically wanted to pick female elven souls which had suffered at the hands of others. She specifically wanted elves who were not only female, although there were some male elves that she did take, but they tended to be of a much weaker stock. The female elves that she took were some of the most violent, sadistic, hateful, and frankly vicious and fanatical that she could find, effectively recreating the witch cult that she used to have in the old world, but with a difference. This time, Morathi was not only the high priest, but also the one with all the power now, as her son, Malekith, who is now Malerion, skulking around in the Realm of Shadows. We don't really know what he's been up to yet. I'm sure that will come into play at some point. But anyway, Morathi basically chose these souls because she knew they would be the easiest for her to manipulate. And she set up her religious service to Khaine, the god of violence, bloodshed, and murder, and neglected to tell the Witch Elves a very important detail. Khaine was dead. Like, really dead, like, died in the old world dead. And so all that belief and worship was going somewhere, and Morathi was doing everything she could to channel this energy back into herself, steadily helping her grow in power. And she found souls that were to half creatures like herself. The Medusae, for example, half snake, half elf-like creatures, who were considered blessed, because they were more like their high oracle. They were more like Morathi. The Harpies, again, and a witch elf-like offspring, who were also considered favoured and beloved by Morathi. This entire society, based on the idea of murder, violence, and bloodshed that was hiding out in the Realm of Shadows, managed to avoid a lot of the chaos crap that was going on simply because, well, the Realm of Shadows is really damn hard to find anything in. If you think it's confusing trying to drive in a foggy road in the middle of the night when your lights are off, yeah, that's just the Realm of Shadow on an average day. Unless you know the ways, unless you have grown up amongst the shadows, unless you've been taught how to weave through the fogs and mists, you have no chance of finding any cities. And we know there are cities in the Realm of Shadow, thanks to the Dark Elf box set that's come out. Not just ones for the Witch Elves, but also the Dark Elves. And the Witch Elves managed to make this society prosperous by, well, selling their services. What else do you do with a cult of murder-happy women? You hire them out to go kill people, of course. As Morathi made it a part of their worship that killing was in fact an act of worship, Witch Elves would whip themselves up, sometimes literally speaking, into a frenzy where they would use their heightened senses, incredible acrobatic skills, and insane speed to just dance around any arrows, guns, or magic flying at them, and then just stab, 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 stab in the middle of combat, and bring the blood, or heads, or whatever, back to their temples where they would be pulled into the cauldrons of blood, altars to Khaine. And this is more or less how the Witch Elf Society had been running for thousands of years at this point. Morathi was very, very careful, whilst the alliance was intact, to not show her true form. In fact, the only occasion that it happened was when she attempted to seduce Nagash, and Nagash basically said no in as forceful a way as he could, and in doing so revealed briefly her real form, which actually surprised the god of death, but no more was said of it at the time, as she quickly reverted back to her original form. And yeah, like I said, when Chaos came back into the realms, Morathi just retreated to the realm of shadows and just kept hiring out her sisters to go and kill Chaos as, well, let me put it this way. The Witch Elves despise Slaanesh with a murderous passion that goes beyond anything else. If they find out there's a Slaanesh army or a Chaos army who worship Slaanesh or Slaanesh demons assaulting a city, they will of course demand they're paid, but they will gladly murder every single one of them for a reduced rate, because Slaanesh is the reason they're in this place, and they're in the position that they're in. And they feel that the only way to exact their vengeance is, well, kill everything that moves that happens to have a shade of pink, or purple, or scaly crabclaw-like things. And this has worked for Morathi for a long time, keeping this carefully created guise that she is on the good guy's side, although I can't believe that many people really fall for this, because, you're running a cult of murder-happy witch elves who gather blood and... I think there should at least be a few people asking some rather serious questions, but at the same time, the Order faction kinda needed all the help it could get, especially in the early wars between Chaos and, well, the realms. But Morathi is now starting to move her personal ambitions into the forefront of her plans. She has for a long time wanted to be, quite literally, the top elf. In the past she used others to achieve this. She would wield power from behind the scenes, either manipulating her son, manipulating Tyrion, manipulating anyone who would give her a chance for more power for herself. But now that she was being practically worshipped as a god in her own right, particularly by the Harpies and Medusae, who saw themselves as her children, as they shared her characteristics and her form, she started making some rather serious plays, including gathering material that stores chaotic energies, and she's learnt how to manipulate this for her own gain. Now, I'm not going to give too many spoilers. If you want spoilers, put a comment down below and I don't mind, but essentially she's making her bid for power now, and the Medusae and the Harpies are on board. Their loyalty isn't really questioned, but the normal witch elf might be a different story, and there might be some infighting. Oh, what the heck. I am going to put a few spoilers in here, because frankly, if you read the Warhammer news, you're going to bump across this eventually. So, if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip now. You skipped? You done? Okay. Morathi used the energies in Slaanesh to empower herself to become essentially the new god of Khaine. And she succeeded. Fortunately for her, in the process she released Slaanesh. And now it's a deity that's slowly forming back into its, original power. This is really bad news, because Slaanesh is not a weak deity. Yes, it has been imprisoned for a long time, but that probably just makes it more eager to get into close combat and, kill everyone and absorb their souls again. And Morathi has demonstrated that she's more than happy to murder her own kin and witch elves in order to keep a secret, but also that she places trust in her Harpies and Medusae. And now the Idoneth Deepkin, who have become aware that she is able to take souls from Slaanesh, she took souls from Slaanesh, and that she's promised them effectively to create souls for them. That's 2 out of the 3 big factions of elves who are on her side. And it's going to be interesting what Teclis and Tyrion decide to do with all this, because this is pretty problematic, because Morathi isn't going to stop with being the deity for the witch elves. You can be guaranteed she's gonna want to hit the top spot. And that means no one's left alive but her. I hope you've enjoyed this little intro video to the Witch Elves, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series. Put a little like and a comment down below. Thank you all so much to my new and old subscribers. 108 at my last count. That's incredible. Like, beyond amazing. I can't believe it. It's awesome. So seriously, thank you for your support. If you feel particularly generous, please check out the Patreon. It really helps me make this channel more possible as a long-time thing. And I look forward to hearing from you all soon. Until then, take care everyone.